think we did a lot of growing after 1976 when we got swept by the Reds. And I can remember being in spring training and we were all talking about that, we wanted to make sure we got back there again, but we wanted to play the Reds again. And but they end up not making it. But the thing is that I think we represented ourselves very well there, and especially beating the Dodgers 2 times in 2 different World Series. And I think that team accomplished a lot, and it was a team that everybody, all 25 guys, contributed in everything that we did there.
And if you can't take us back to Chris Chambliss' home run in the bottom of the 9th inning, Game 5 of the ALCS, where were you, what were you thinking, and what were you feeling?
Well, we were just, it was a tough series for us, and Canada. It was tough for them too. And I mean, they were on the losing end of that. But I was in the bullpen, and I remember when Chambliss hit that ball, we just told it's out of here, because we had a good angle on it. Even though the outfielder was going back like he was going to catch it, but he really didn't have any chance in that. And then the rest is history. But I think it was that series there that somebody went to Steel Nettles' hat and ripped a chunk of hair out of the top of his head about that big. But that was really, really something to go through. My rookie year with the Red Sox, we ended up making it to the World Series that year, and I'd never been through anything like that in my life, being 21 years old. And so this, with the Yankees and getting there and then finally winning one was a really big deal for not only me but everybody on that team.
And you talk about the Red Sox and your time with them. It was actually Ted Williams who advised you to start throwing the slider. How ironic is that?
Well, I was in spring training, and Ted Williams was there, and I pitched against Florida State that day. Everybody was, we were all trying to get our innings in, and they asked me, "Hey, you want to?" I said, "Hey, I don't care who I pitch against," and I struck out 12 in 5 innings. And so then I finished my running, I went in, and Ted Williams comes in and he says, "Where's that left-hander that pitched today?" And, I'm over here. He said, "What, you think you did good today?" Well, yeah, he says, "You throw your curveball with your thumb sticking up, don't you?" And I says, "Yeah." He said, "I could see it every time." He said, "Get dressed, we're going back outside." So he took me back outside, and he says, "I'm going to show you how to throw a 12-6 curveball." So while I'm doing this, he says to me, "Do you know what the best pitch in baseball is?" And I says, "Yeah, changeup." No. He says it's a slider, because it's the only pitch that I couldn't hit when I knew it was coming. Now what he did to me, he told me, and I have a book at home signed by him, he told me that if you get this slider, you'll be in the big leagues. Back then, and he wrote that in the book. And I used to lay in bed at night with the lights out, with a ball in my hand, trying to figure out how I had to throw that ball to make it do what he said. And I was in Double-A, and I got up. I'm laying in bed this night. I got up, and I lived in a converted garage with this huge street light right behind it. I get up, I get out of bed, and I'm firing this ball against the side of this house that night, and it was just going boom, straight down. And I said, "Oh my God, I got it." And the next day I went to the ballpark. I'm warming up to win a game, and Bob Montgomery was the catcher, and I told him slider. He says, "Well, you don't have a slider." I said, "No, yesterday I didn't have one." And that's why I started throwing every pitch after that. And a year later I was in the big leagues. Thank you, Ted.
And that slider, of course, you pretty much gave to Ron Guidry, who became the 1978 Cy Young Award winner.
Correct.
Talk about how you and Dick Tidrow really nurtured Gid at the time. It was kind of at the crossroads of his career. You were working with him in the bullpen.
Well, it was one of these things that, they brought him up once, and he got kicked around a little bit, so they sent him back down. No, I don't think anybody ever worked with him down there, which was unbeknownst to us. But he was trying to throw a curveball and a slider. And we basically just said, "Hey, you gotta choose one or the other. You can't throw both these pitches with your fastball, because you got 2 mediocre pitches here." So he went with the slider. And one of the best things about him learning that slider is both of us threw from almost, I mean, if you took a picture of us throwing, our arms would probably come through within a millimeter of where the other one did. And that was very important with throwing this slider that I threw that went down instead of across. And then Tidrow taught him how to pitch, how to do things in certain situations, and you know, they were roommates, and he was drilling in his head all the time about it. So he probably learned 5 years worth of experience the first year that he was actually in the big leagues.